Thank you so much for making time for this event. Today, we are just here to talk about, breaking barriers of entry for more women to join into the tech industry. And I'm so excited to see also a lot of guys who have joined, because it takes effort from both ends for us to be able to do this. We need more women who are in the tech space to join. So I will start by introducing our panelists. I'll start with myself. My name is Primerose Katena, and I am Zimbabwean, and I'm based in Ghana. And then our panelist is full of people from different parts of Africa. So it's a Pan-African team. We have Lanre Adeoye. She's from Nigeria, and she's an HR personnel. She will give you more details. I don't want to not describe her in full, but we have Lanre, and we also have Faith Kilonzi. Faith is from Kenya. She's joining from Kenya. Thank you, Faith, because I know it's 8 p.m. in Kenya, but you made time for this, so we really appreciate that. Faith is a senior software engineer at KQ Airways. And we also have Vicentia. Vicentia is the queen of crypto. Yes, she's also a project manager, and she, sorry, I just want to admit these two people. Okay. She's also a crypto educator. So, if you come to Ghana and look for people who are in crypto, they'll always mention her name. So I will just open up for them to give you a full background of themselves. I am a tech entrepreneur, and also I'm a project manager at Current, and that's what I am currently doing. So I will just open up and we'll just do a round robin, and they introduce themselves. We can start with Faith.
Okay, thank you for having me, and thank you, Primrose, and thank you everyone who is here today. So my name is Faith Kilonzi. I am a software engineer. I do DevOps, and I also consult as a technical writer. I'm also a student, current student in the University of East London, studying Masters of Science in Big Data. I hold a bachelor's degree in computer science from Ashesi University. Yes, and besides that, I do a lot of tech mentorship and also run a tech podcast called Global Tech Sailors, where we talk about all things tech and tech careers. Thank you for having me. Back to you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the detail. That's why I said I don't want to do the intro myself. You see, she's a whole package. Yes, Lanre, would you like to go next?
Yes, sure. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here. My name is Lanre Adeoye. As Prim has said, I'm Nigerian, and I work as I work in talent operations for a recruitment company. I was focused on connecting tech people in the US to companies in the US. Aside from that, I also do some tech entrepreneurship. So I run a startup that is into recruitment and payroll, and we've done that for a couple of multinational companies. And I also do talent coaching, career coaching as well. So I would say that I have reviewed a good number, hundreds or even thousands of resumes and LinkedIn profiles and all that stuff, and also help prepare people for their next role. I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Lanre. We are glad to have you. Vicentia. Hello, Vicentia. Can you hear us?
Hi. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me too?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. I would have loved to share my camera, but I'm currently in transit, so I'm just commuting somewhere. So it's not really nice to share my camera now. But I'm really happy to be here. Happy to meet all the co-panelists, and I'm really looking forward to learning about your experiences. Yeah. So to me, let me just say that I have an educational background. in actuarial science, so I read actuarial science. But during my time in school, I decided to explore the financial um, industry, tech innovation. So I was learning more about blockchain, cryptocurrency, and I was really intrigued and interested by what the technology offer. So fast forward after school, I started a community to basically educate people about blockchain, cryptocurrencies, and the opportunities in there. We started just as a YouTube channel, which was just supposed to serve as a library for anyone who came to ask me about crypto, but it's moved into a community. And now I do public speaking, education, research, and advocacy for blockchain, cryptocurrency, and the opportunities, and also especially for women to opportunities in the space that they can jump onto. Aside that, I'm also a website builder, so basically do IT project management for AI and then Web3 products. So yes, I think this is a little bit of what I've been up to, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. So one interesting thing about all of us here is that we were not in the tech space to begin with. We found our way into the tech space. I think Faith, when she was giving a background that she has a degree in computer science, like she has a whole story before she even joined there. She was in the business sector, and then she found her way, she was very courageous to go and study computer science. And nowadays she is a senior engineer, making sure that we all fly safely. She's helping the pilots make sure we fly safely with Kenya Airways. So that's just an amazing thing. And if you can also, Lanre, she has a background in HR, but she found her way into the tech space. And here she is recruiting, helping tech company recruit a lot of engineers. So I just like, we are just going to dive deep as they tell us more details about how was it for them to break into this tech industry? What are some of the challenges they faced, the fears? How was it, and how did they overcome that? So maybe we can start with Lanre, if you are ready. Yeah.
Yes, I am. Thank you. Prim was absolutely correct. I did my degree in chemical engineering. So that's like way far away from tech. And after I finished that and got into the workforce in Nigeria, we have this thing. It's a service year period. I think there's something similar in Ghana as well. And during that period, I started working with a human resources company. The company was a recruitment company. I was just an associate there. But at that time, there was just a lot of buzz around tech. And I knew that instead of like going into oil and gas, I wanted to do tech because I really wanted to be in the forefront of things that, were happening. I just really wanted to understand it. So the first thing I did at this time, sorry about that. First thing I did for me was to explore my curiosity. And I wanted to start a consultancy. After I left where I worked at that time, I was like, okay, well, a small business. So in my head, I was like, oh, I could probably replicate this, and then I decided to start, learning, or I started to create a website for this business that I had in mind. And so I asked a couple of people, like what a website would cost, how much that would cost. And the amounts I found very ridiculous. So I decided I was going to create, a website for myself. And I think for me, what I did, like I said, was just exploring that curiosity. I decided to I used WordPress, I used YouTube to learn, and I created a website. And then just during trying to figure out tech, I saw this MEST program. It's Meltwater Entrepreneurial School of Technology. The campus is in Ghana, and I felt that was one other place that I knew that was going to help me really understand tech, help me understand, the software development lifecycle and careers and all of that. One thing that I say is that every field, every part, every sector of this world has to have like a tech part of it. So I actually think that everybody, needs to explore their curiosity in tech. And so for me, I decided to, apply for the MEST program, got into that. That was sort of how I transitioned from just being in the HR space, generalist HR space, to now specializing into tech. So I just picked from the program my HR background and matched it with this new knowledge that I found in the tech space, and brought it together, helped me to get my next job as a talent operations person in tech space. And really that's how I was able to navigate getting into tech. Thank you.
Wow, that's an interesting story. I actually never knew all these details. I learned a lot today as well. And I've known you for a long time. That's interesting. Faith, would you like to go next?
Okay, sure. So for me, my journey in tech started when I went to Ashesi for my undergrad. Ashesi is a liberal arts college based in Ghana, and I enrolled to Ashesi. I was admitted to study business administration, and the main reason why I even applied for business administration is because I really didn't have enough exposure and knowledge to know what course I was really interested in. So when I went there, it was more of me trying to figure out because I'd read business in high school, I thought it was easier to transition. So it had nothing to do with whether I was passionate or not. It was just more of this is what is available and this is what I know at this particular point. So let me study business administration. Then in the course of my first year in Ashesi, it was such a different environment that I would expect a university would be, because the liberal arts education made me explore different parts of the different programs that Ashesi offers, and that's how I was able to discover that I was good at programming. And one of the ways that I discovered I was good at it was because I would do something or would be given an assignment, and I realized that, oh, I can actually hack this. I'm even showing my friends how to do this, and I'm like, okay, maybe this is something that I'm more interested in. And just the fact that for coding, if you know, it's very visual, it also can be tough, but it's also very fulfilling. So every time I write some piece of code and I can see it on the other side of the browser, and then I would be very much excited. So that is what made me switch to computer science. Since then, I've worked in tech for the longest time. Obviously, while I was in school, I did a couple of internships in the field of software development in various industries, and that cemented my need or my decision to pursue a career in tech, and especially in software development. Yeah, and that's where I'm at, really. That's how I got here.
Awesome. Thank you for the background. That's really an interesting story. Vicentia, would you like to touch on that as well?
Yeah, very well. So let me just start from a little bit. Let me give some history about growing up. So growing up, right from primary school, I wanted to be a doctor. And so primary school, junior high school. When I got to senior high school, I think I didn't really like biology, so I changed my mind. I saw that I had a strong liking for mathematics. So anything that was mathematical, that's what I wanted to do. So getting to the university, I was like, okay, mathematics. I just sampled all the mathematical courses when I was going to university, and then actual science piqued my interest, so I chose that one. Then it started. So while I was there, I just saw that I had this knack for numbers, but my interest for tech started growing, and it wasn't so dominant until I decided to start looking for jobs to support myself in school. So I started doing all forms of online jobs, and ad revenue, multi-level marketing, everything. So I landed into multi-level marketing, and they were using Bitcoin as a payment, right? So as it goes, if you are not able to grow your team, it ends there. You are not really able to get anything good from the multi-level marketing. So I closed that chapter, but something remained. That was the Bitcoin that I had. So I was like, okay, this payment Bitcoin, I really didn't understand what exactly it was. So It was just, I was curious. So first of all, I wanted to make money. So I just started just looking online for ways to make money. Then I landed on Bitcoin. And when I checked it out, the technology that just intrigued me. So I started learning about, Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, the blockchain, and everything around it. So before that, too, even as at the time when I was in the university, I formed a team and then we built an application which we never launched, but I was never technical. I was always the person who was going to bring the ideas of coordinating people. So I just saw that, okay, I have some kind of knack for managing people, managing projects. So it went on into the space, into the tech space where I started working with blockchains like Tezos. So I've worked with Tezos, worked with some play to earn, platforms and applications. And then with Tezos, I started as just like a project manager, and then I went on to do operations there. So in Tezos, I had a lot of experience because I had to now manage hackathons and tech projects. Then from Tezos, I am now working at Ijara as an IT project manager. And it's been a very, very interesting thing because I didn't learn anything about that. So I had to learn on the job and learn online, learn through courses. So for my tech journey, it's been all about curiosity and also trying to learn myself through online courses and any avenue that I could get, and particularly on the job to networking with others. So that's how my journey started. So I attend events, try to network with people, learn as much as I can, and then that's been the story. I keep learning as the days go by. So that's been how I started my tech journey. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for sharing. I think the theme from all the stories we are hearing is just exploring your curiosity. And for me, I think my journey into tech started at Ashesi as well. That's where I met Faith the first time. And I was also going to study computer science. And then I think I remember having a conversation with my sister. She was asking me the courses that were there. And I told her, she was like, you know what, maybe you should explore this computer science. And I remember having this conversation with Faith, and we're like, you know what, we can do this. So we encouraged each other. It was really a big step to take because I had like background in business administration, and to be honest, that was really my first time having a close interaction with a laptop. But I was like, you know what, we would do it because I was really enjoying getting exposed to tech. And the good thing is, Ashesi, it's a liberal arts, like Faith said. So in your first year, you could easily switch to any other course that you would want to do. So I'm like, you know what, let's do this for a year. If it's working, we continue. If it's not, we go back to our business studies. We still graduate on time. So that's how I joined tech. And then after I, graduated with my bachelor's in computer science, I joined MEST, and that's where I met Lanre. And then we did the MEST program together as well. So, MEST is a place where you meet different people from all over Africa, and you are put together to stay together in like a whole year studying software entrepreneurship with the goal to come up with business ideas and start a company with your colleagues. So out of MEST, I met my team members, and then we started a company called Tendo Technologies, where we help people to start an online business with no capital. And that's what I've been working on for the past 3 years. And now I've moved on to a space where I'm now a project manager at Curogent. It's also an IT firm. So it's been an interesting journey, starting from, freshman year, not knowing anything, to where we are now, that we are now comfortable. We are now growing our careers in the tech space. So that's how it's been for me. And I think in all that, it's just the curiosity, having the support, people encouraging you that, you know what, you can do this, and giving ourselves a chance and grace to learn, to be able to do well in the industry that we choose. So I just want to throw it to you ladies. So in your journey from the beginning to where you are now, what has been one of the or two biggest challenges you have faced? And it could be fear, it could be anything. And how did you overcome it? Because as we know, tech is so broad. we are all in tech, but we are literally doing different things. So what are some of the barriers that you faced and how did you overcome them? I don't know who wants to go first. All right, go first. Hey, Faith, I can't hear you.
Okay, so here I am, back. All right, so for me, what I'd say is one of the biggest challenges I've faced while in tech has been imposter syndrome. And I would say imposter syndrome is, by definition, is just is the feeling of self-doubt based off of you questioning whether you're a fraud and whether you deserve to be in the spaces you are in. And especially because in tech, the industry is pretty much changing, and it has a lot to do with the constant improvement, constant advancement. Today there's a new language, tomorrow there's a new tool that you need to learn. The industry keeps changing in day out, and it calls for you to be very intentional, to keep learning and keep up with what's happening. And also just the technical aspect of it also makes it a bit, quote unquote, scary. And that's what makes, sometimes even when I qualify for a job, I'm more likely to question whether I deserve to be there or not. And I would say one of the ways that I faced imposter syndrome when I was in school is when I was in school. Like I told you in my background, I switched from business administration. First, that's already a point or a source of self-doubt, because I kept questioning if I really should have explored this path. So every time there's a new harder course or a harder assignment, then that's where I start questioning. It also now has to do with now tech jobs, even in the industry, trying to figure out where I want to work after school, the opportunities on campus, how to apply for them. So for me, it was a very big challenge, because every time there was a new opportunity, I would shy away from applying, and it was quite a challenge. And I wouldn't say I've overcome it 100%. Sometimes it comes, sometimes it doesn't. But one way or the other, I've also learned to trust that I deserve the opportunities that come my way, and I'm constantly learning to improve myself to make sure that whatever I don't know, I can teach and learn myself, because that is the one thing in tech that will make you stay updated and also stay competitive in this very, very, very competitive industry. So I would say imposter syndrome, and I'm working through it.
You really touched an important point. The way tech is always evolving, and like when you're starting, it's just a lot. Like it's a big industry. There's crypto, there's this, there's a lot of things happening at the same time. And when you're starting with no guidance, it can be overwhelming. And nowadays you even see people saying, you can become a data analyst, a data engineer within 6 weeks. I laugh when I see that, because you are giving people wrong expectations. You will not be a data engineer in 6 weeks. It's not possible. So I feel like things like that, they also just make it difficult, because after 6 weeks, you feel that you're not ready and you feel like, oh, this is not for me. But I think tech it's a journey. You have to be patient to build your skills over time. And yeah, the imposter syndrome, I totally relate to that. Yeah. Lanre, would you like to go next?
Yes, absolutely. I must say, yeah, I totally resonate with everything that Faith mentioned there. But for me, the biggest challenge was post-semester. So starting out, I had 2 years of experience in the recruitment space, particularly HR. And then going from there into MEST and doing, a software entrepreneurship program. And after that, I wanted to get back into the job market. And for me, it was like, oh, am I getting back into the market as an entry-level person? That was something that I found very challenging, because I was like, okay, then how about all the years I had spent, being, in the field and all that? But one thing I realized is the power of storytelling. And that's how I was able to get a job in a role that, made me more of a senior person, where I currently am, just outside of MEST. And was because I was able to tie my experience from being a recruiter and then tying into this into tech. And that's one thing I also tell people, that if you want to transition into tech, no matter where you're coming from, whether it's accounting or economics, whatever it is, there's always a connection point to your new role. There are like things that you have, learned and all that. So one thing I would say, that like for me, I didn't particularly enjoy programming. I knew it was not for me, but I knew that I really loved this part I'm coming from, and what's like a part of tech that really, connects to it. And I told my story around it, and I was able to like keep pursuing my career as if there was no break with like the MEST program. So I think the key point I'm trying to make here is like power of storytelling to connect whatever you're doing now, if you're aspiring to get into tech, to, whatever you're going to do after.
Powerful storytelling. I love that. And like, I totally agree with what you are saying, because tech does not exist on its own. There's need for business to be the foundation. There's no tech business that's just standing on its own. They are solving a problem somehow, or they have found an opportunity they are, exploiting. So that's experience you have wherever you are. Find the tech industry that matches with that. They would love your experience, because sometimes even to build a system, they may need a nurse who understand how, to take care of the patients. And that's where you can come in as a product manager, and you'll be able to help them to build a system that actually solves problems for people. So there's room for everyone to actually join in the tech space. Thanks, Lanre, for sharing that powerful point. Vicentia, let's hear you.
Yes. All right. So personally, I'll talk about beginning like in the blockchain space. So this is a very nascent technology on its own. So a lot of people are still maybe wondering what this space is about. So imagine how it was, say, a couple of years ago, because I started somewhere in 2015. That's where the journey started for me. So it's a nascent technology, and it felt a bit lonely in the beginning. It may feel strange, but actually, blockchain is a community thing, if I can put it that way. Like, it's a community space. It's peer to peer. It's for the people, and learning in a nascent technology where it wasn't really popular, having to navigate the whole space yourself. It was really, really challenging, because sometimes it felt like people feel like, what's this girl doing? Like, why are you always talking about this crypto thing? Like, you don't even know the value. So in the beginning, it felt a bit lonely, and then also overwhelming, right? Because there was so much that you have to learn at a time. So sometimes I just had to just pause, because this is a space where every time there's a new thing coming. And as an educator, I have to be abreast. I have to try to always learn to be abreast with it. So yes, for the blockchain space, what I'll say is that in the beginning was quite a lonely road, because lots of people around you don't even understand what you're doing. And you're not, maybe we're not seeing the fruits of it, in terms of maybe family, they expect you to do this, like there's a life path that everybody understands traditionally. Okay, be a doctor, but you said you want to do this, and this is something even people in tech around that time were not really fully understanding it. So that was one of the challenges. And coming to project management, I'll say that I got into a role that was say I was let's say very entry role. I had no experience, but I was supposed to learn in a very short time and do what experienced people on a job would do. And I would say that was one of my greatest challenges, because not only did I have to like understand the tech team, because I had never done project management in IT. I was doing project management in other things, but not IT. And understanding the company, understanding how things are done, and fitting into my role in a very short time, because no excuses were expected. So it was really challenging. Or sometimes I just got burnt out, overwhelmed, not because of information now, but because I was like I had to navigate my way myself, right? So these were some challenges that I faced. Yes, I would say that with the blockchain stuff, challenge is not really there now. But even with the project management, I'm still learning as much as I can every time, and then just trying to ensure that I deliver my best. So these were some, I would say, challenges that I've faced, in my journey so far.
Wow, thank you for that. Wow. This lady started in 2015. Like those days, everybody thought crypto was a scam. And I watched her. She has a YouTube video. I went back, the first time I had a chat with her, and I was checking her YouTube videos, like when she started. And I can understand when she says it was so lonely, because it's like you're preaching about something. People are like, do we really need this? Is this true? And even the people in the tech space from other industries are not really like understanding or believing what you're saying. So I think I see a woman who is very resilient, like very patient, like throughout this journey. She has been very patient up to where she is now. And that's really, really amazing. Thank you for sharing that story, Vicentia. Now, I just want to also ask, ladies, now that we are in 2023, what are some of the challenges that you think, these are challenges that you faced when you were joining tech, but now that we are in 2023, what are some of the challenges that you have seen that making it difficult for other women to join in the tech industry? And how do you think we can work together to solve those problems and make sure that it's easy for more women to feel welcome to join the tech space? Vicentia, would you like to go first this time?
Okay, sure. So, sorry, I got a bit distracted. You were asking about current challenges.
Yes, and how we can help more women to join the tech industry.
All right. So, generally, there are some assertions that, when it comes to tech, let's say there's an underrepresentation of women. I don't know if you would agree, or other panelists will also agree. So generally, there's this assertion, and it's true. Even when you look at the blockchain space, one time I was in a meeting for the blockchain, and I could count as we can have about 100 men and just 5 women or 4 women. So I used to also ask that, well, is it a matter of there are no opportunities, or is it a matter of interest? Because I want to talk about, is it a matter of opportunities, interest, or should I say, this is quite open. I'm not going to really answer it straight away, because I've actually been thinking about this too. Or is it a matter of maybe there's a stereotype that like traditionally, or even in terms of culture, that women, you're supposed to do this or that kind of thing, that a woman is supposed to do this, or this is the kind of job a woman is supposed to do or not. So there are many things that I see. But one thing that I would like to just talk about is, among the many things, I may not really give a direct answer, because I want to hear other people's opinion. Is it a matter of interest? Is it a matter of opportunity? Because right now I see a lot more opportunities for women, right? When it comes to fellowships, when it comes to boot camps, some courses are now free for women to get into the space. There's that encouragement out there. There's advocacy, which is much better now than in the past, right? That's one point. So opportunities to, we see some companies open up, say in terms of they having some policies to have more women, in their companies. Well, we see that maybe there's more to be done in terms of that, actually, right? And also, when I started, or even now, there used to be a bro code. So everybody thought that you were a guy. So especially when the community started, so they would be like, "Thank you, bro," because it's just it's just understood that a woman cannot maybe give out this kind of value. It's for the men, that kind of thing. So I had a lot of thank you, but it got to a point I didn't really respond, or I didn't want to even clarify because I was tired at that point, right? So we see some of these things changing, but I feel like one main thing is I want to talk about maybe support systems, mentorship, right? I feel like maybe we should see more of these women supporting women, supports, mentorship. This conversation we are having, maybe having more programs that actually help us hold the hands of young women who are in the university, just finishing university, on the where to go, right? I believe if women are able to do this for other women, we could see much more improvement because we can easily relate to ourselves. We understand the challenges that we face as a woman, right? A woman's life in a month goes through many cycles. We understand emotionally, we can relate. So I feel like maybe strengthening the support system in terms of mentorship, in terms of having that community for women, women pushing women, right? I think Primrose, I had a conversation with you in the beginning where we mentioned that it was hard to see like that woman support system, women pushing women. I feel like it can really leave an indelible mark in the life of any woman. I'm not saying that a man supporting a woman is not. It's, I mean, we are in a male-dominated space, and we receive awesome support from the men, and I give kudos and thumbs up to the men for that. But I also want to say that when we have that kind of support system in place, I believe that we are going to see much more results. So I wouldn't say we don't have it. Yes, we do, but I feel like if we can push a bit harder, this may be some of the challenges now that I feel like maybe if they are solved or through these conversations, we can have programs or whatever it is, we could see a much more exponential increase in women getting into the space and then being able to go over the hurdles or the challenges. Yes, thank you. But I'm really looking forward to hearing from the other panelists on this too.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I totally agree with you. The support systems and mentorship really help. And honestly, like you said, it's really a lonely industry for women. I remember having to write on my LinkedIn one day, like, where are the other women in the tech space? Because I can't seem to interact with a lot. And when I was with Tendo, I was, all my co-founders were guys. And one thing I learned from them is there's this, they just reach out to guys who are in the tech or abroad this, even if it's the first time. And it's like everybody's willing to help and they'll live there with whatever they are looking for. But sometimes we just don't support each other as women. I couldn't get that. Like someone can say, hey, sis, I need this. Can you help me? It's like, it's very difficult to even find, women like that. So that support system is very crucial and it really helps. And I'm going to circle back to your question, I think after the other panelists answered this first question about opportunity versus interest. And I think I'll even open it up to the audience to hear what they think is really the problem. So yeah, Faith, would you like to go next?
Okay, sure. I can go next. So I'd say the current challenge. So work with me here. Tech has become a thing. People are here, people want to explore what tech is about. It's a whole career, it's offering different options. You can code, you cannot code, you can do blockchain, you can do data analysis, you can do tech recruitment, you can do a lot of things in tech. And it's become a thing and it's a whole career option for most people, even women. And we've gotten there, but this is a male-dominated industry where ideally, if you're looking for someone, the first person will come. You have if you're looking for two people in interview poll, you can have like 8 out of 10 candidates who are men, and which is okay. But here is also a case where companies have come with policies where everyone needs to meet a certain criteria, but also there is also the other part on inclusion and diversity. So which is great, So more women are getting these opportunities, more women are sitting in rooms that ideally they wouldn't, right? But also now the main challenge that personally I've experienced is that regardless of how far we've come, there's also that aspect of being treated as a result of affirmative action, quote unquote, or a result, or maybe a qualified for this position. Maybe you qualified for this position because they wanted to be diverse and inclusive, but not necessarily because you qualified for the job. So part and part has to do with, now I'm here, I've qualified for this job, I've been employed, but at this point, I still need to prove myself to make sure that I don't seem to have been employed because of my gender, or just because of I'm a woman and I'm meeting a certain criteria. So that's also one of the things that I feel like it's still a challenge in the industry. It's still a challenge when someone is trying to negotiate for better pay, better treatment, and it's still also one of the things that is causing the gender pay gap. So personally, I feel like in as much as we've come a long way in terms of making women sit in spaces that ideally they wouldn't, and also thriving in these spaces, we still have a long way to go to ensuring that it's a level ground, not from a place of I'm hiring you to meet a certain criteria, but even for me not to be treated as or not my expertise being questioned because I like giving this example. I've been at a place where we are all seated here, we need help, or a colleague needs help. We are a room of engineers, and because maybe in a room of 10 engineers, we are like 2 or 3, you're more likely to go to your male colleague because for some reason you just feel like they're more technical and they are more qualified than me, when I could actually help. But just because there is that unspoken bias that I'm there because of affirmative action, inclusion, and diversity, and all that jargon that they use to make sure that we all sit in those rooms. So we are grateful to be here. We just want to feel like we belong and not to have to prove ourselves. So for me,
Wow.
that's a challenge.
That's deep, and I'm so glad that you spoke before Lanre, because she's an HR in the tech space. So I would really love to hear Lanre, what you have observed based on what Faith has also shared in responding to this.
Yeah, I mean, I think Vicentia, Faith, you guys are very correct in like what you have observed and the challenges and all of that. But one thing I want to say is that I feel like it's a limiting belief to think that you are limited as a woman. And honestly, like for Faith, if personally, the way I think about these things is that if like I'm in a space and people go to the man because they feel like I'm not experienced enough to do the work, I'm like, okay, then you freed up my time. I'm going to use the time to do other things. I try not to make this thing, very gender specific. Like I try not to make, I don't want us to think of ourselves as victims, but also embrace the opportunities that come. So like even coming back to Vicentia's, question on opportunities versus interest, honestly, in 2023, I think it's more about interest. And the reason why I say this is because I think that a lot of women are rejection averse. So think about it this way, because in the world that we live in, more men are pursuers in terms of like, oh, they're the ones that are going to go to the woman, they're the ones that are going to face rejections. They're open to it, but a lot of women, as like the receivers of that attention, are not used to feeling rejected. So you try to get into tech once, you try to reach out to someone, you try, different things, and then you feel you're rejected once, twice, third, even the fifth time, you're like, oh, it's not for me. I'm just going to relax and just, be in my comfort zone and all that. I think that we should start embracing rejection. I think that's one major thing that people tend to shy away from, especially women. You can't, I mean, a lot of us can tell our stories about, trying to get a job, about trying to learn something and, getting it wrong, about trying to reach out to someone and not, getting the audience that you think you need. But my advice is really that people should be very open to rejection. And that's how we're going to overcome a lot of the challenges that you face. Because for me, I think that this is like the best time to be a woman. And I feel like people should embrace it. If there are quotas for us to get to places because of affirmative action, why are we not there? Then we should be in those spaces. And that's really how I'm going to answer that question. I hope I actually did answer the question.
Yeah, you did. Thank you so much. And just to circle back to Faith, opportunity versus interest, what do you think is the major issue here?
So maybe before I answer, the challenge I spoke about was not from a place of feeling like a victim, just to make the clarification. It's more of an observation of what's happening. And I don't have a problem if you don't consult me. It's just that if you've been in corporate industry, you know how forthcoming you are, how able you are able to interact as a team, help other people, how it scores you even as you climb the ladder, quote unquote. So it's more of if my colleagues then don't consult me in spaces that maybe this project, I was not approached for this project, that project could have been the door to my next promotion, then it goes against me, right? So it's more of an observation of it's still a valid challenge, and I hope that's clear.
I think so. Sorry, Faith, I just want to also add to that I can relate to what you're saying in terms of, I think I found myself sometimes fighting for my own voice to be heard. Like, I am speaking, I am sharing what I know, it's very helpful. And then a guy comes and say exactly the same thing I have shared, and they are applauded for something like that. I'm like, what exactly is happening? So things like that happens a lot in the tech industry. So I totally relate to that. I had like a struggle like that, and it was so frustrating. At some point, you're like, do I still want to contribute, or I should just keep quiet and watch, because it's like what you're saying don't matter, or it's more important, or you are heard more when it's coming from a guy. And then because there are a lot of guys in the space, they tend to like just hear each other, and you are not heard at all. So it's one of the challenges I really struggled with. And how I handled it, at some point I was just getting angry, keeping it, and then I realized I need to address it. So I had to, just tell people that I don't like how this is happening. And I say something, and I have instances where this has happened. I said this, and then a guy said it, and automatically it was a yes. So I'm not sure what's happening. So sometimes people do this unknowingly, unconsciously. So you have to let them know that this is what is happening, and it's not okay, so that it can be fixed. And because whenever things like this happen and you don't talk, it affects the next woman they will deal with. So we have to make sure that we are all conscious about things like that. Vicentia, I see your hand. Please go on.
Yeah. So thank you all for sharing. I've been thinking about this with the opportunity interesting, and I'm glad that I heard from you all, because I see a lot of opportunity now. So I generally want to say that, yes, as women, I it's not that they are not biases. Yes, they are biases, but I feel like we have gotten to a stage where we could actually rise above all the barriers, so that the next time we are having a women's, we usually have the celebration, we are going to talk more about the great strides, instead of we looking at being always disadvantaged, right? So I'm not saying we don't have biases. We have already acknowledged all that, but I just want to say that right now, let's also herald the fact that there are a lot of opportunities for women now. So if we are not where we are supposed to be, then it's a matter of interest. So we should also, maybe we are not forcing every woman to get into tech. That's not the goal. But for those who have the interest, they shouldn't be held back by anything that could be fear or anything else, whatever it could be. We should just ensure that they are not held back, basically, or they are not afraid of rejection, as was also mentioned earlier on. So I just wanted to just come to the conclusion of my question, and thank you all for sharing their thoughts on this, that now indeed there are a lot of opportunities. Let us leverage on them and then accelerate our growth as women. Yes, that's all I wanted to add.
Okay, thank you. Faith, I'll just let you wrap up your point, and then I see other hands from the audience. We'll just open up to the audience to hear their questions and their contributions.
Okay, sure. So I feel like when it comes to the question on experience versus interest, skills versus interest and opportunity, I feel like it's an intersection of everything, and I have to be interested first. Then that way I'll seek resources and skills that will get me into the door and also allow me to get the opportunity. So all that said, I don't think, and that spans across different industries, different genders, regardless of whether you're a woman or man. You cannot thrive in a place which you are not interested in, because what will push you in the days that things are not working your way. And for you to apply for an opportunity, you have to first maybe believe that you can actually do it and you can deliver on what is required. So in cases of women and opportunities, I feel like socially, for some of these things, that when you talk about barriers to tech and barriers to different places, we really can't talk about, we can't celebrate without looking at where we've come from. And we also can't talk about the way forward without acknowledging the biases and the challenges. Otherwise, if you're having it easy, someone else is also struggling and all that, and that's how we lift up each other up. If I share that I was facing this issue and this is how I overcame it, then I'm more likely to even appeal to someone who is experiencing the same, and we are able to all come together and grow ourselves. And that's why even when we were talking about women not playing victims, it's very, very important that we don't play victims, yes, but it's also very important for us to know this is where we are at, and these are the social constructs and this is how we've been raised. We've been raised to be nice. That's why we don't maybe negotiate as much. We've been raised to take care of everyone else, maybe, and maybe not think about ourselves. These are the social constructs and the social upbringing and ways in which we are socialized growing up. And whether we like it or not, it's more likely to affect us regardless of whether we are in tech or we are in other spaces. So it's when we acknowledge these issues that we are able to also figure out solutions. So for me, I think more and more, I work with the women a lot, and I've seen a lot of women thriving in this industry. And that's the whole essence of mentorship. A lot of opportunities I've actually gotten through women still in these spaces. My mentors, two of my mentors are women. It's just more of, okay, so I've identified I'm interested in this. Can I approach 1, 2, 3 people to see if they can guide me in this path? But first, interest, then after that, these challenges will come day in, day out, and you weather through them and thrive in the industry.
Thank you, Faith. Thank you for that sum up. I'm just going to open up to the audience. I think before Ronald, I see your hand. I'll give you chance to talk in a moment. I think there's Jael. I think I hope I pronounced your name correctly, from Kenya. She's looking for a mentor in data analysis. So if you are here and you're into data analysis, please just check the chat. She has dropped a Gmail, reach out to her and support her. Ronald, please, you can go ahead and talk. Sorry, I kept you waiting for a long time. And if anyone else wants to talk, just raise your hand so that I will call you in that order.
Okay, thank you very much for such an opportunity, so that I air out my views in regards to tech. I would first and foremost thank the panelists. Indeed, they've oozed wisdom. My question goes about how the future looks like, because we have emerging trends and technologies, just as said, blockchain, AI, machine learning, to mention but a few. But we have speculative arguments or assertions that these emerging trends and technologies will be a substitute for human resources in terms of jobs. Therefore, I would like to get a view and a submission from panelists and you about these argument, these these speculative arguments and how we ought to solve them. And all in all, we need to know how to curb these challenges that you've mentioned, and how to come up with long-term trends or achievements that will enable the coming generations to achieve within the tech industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ronald, for your question. So the panelists, I'll just give you 30 seconds to answer because we're running out of time. And Ezekiel Sebastian, I see you here. I know you're in this AI space that's threatening people's jobs, cutting costs. If you want to also comment after the panelists, feel free to do that. Yeah. Vicentia, would you like to comment on this?
I was thinking Lanre is the HR, will go first.
Ooh, HR.
Wow.
Let's hear from my HR first.
Yeah, I think that that's like a big fear that people have right now about like AI taking people's jobs and all that. And I think that it's going to affect a lot of industries, even the software engineering space, where there are some AI has made it easier to write code. So you might not need 5 or 10, developers. It might just reduce the number of people that might be employed, in software development, or and then this transcends to a lot of other fields in the space. But my advice about this really is for people to be very aware, just do the research on a particular area and see what the risks are. The truth is that AI cannot take all jobs. I think that if you're very good in whatever you do, then you are future proof. Your career is future proof, meaning that if you do well and you're doing a very good job, then you're going to still have a career and AI is not going to take your job. I think it might most likely affect people who might not be as great at their job. But I also think that there are some particular industries that people should, be more cognizant of, like maybe data entry. I think that right now with scraping and all that, there's some people who might not be needed to do some jobs. So I think that my advice is just, first of all, being self-aware to understand how your job is going to be affected in the market. And the second thing is really to upskill and keep upskilling, because like I said, AI is not going to take everybody's job. If you are really good, like I said, if it takes, if some people, like I mentioned in the first illustration, if maybe some software developers might be caught, for example, just based on that illustration, if you're good enough, then you still have a job. So just keep upskilling yourself, because and that's the only way you can be sort of immune, to AI taking your job. That's my advice.
All right, thanks, Lanre. Faith?
Okay, so for me, I don't think AI will replace us completely. I believe that AI is a tool like any other tool, and you can either make a tool work for you, or you can chicken out and wait to be replaced. And this is what I mean. Every other to where we are at, there's been technological advancements. We started with farmers going to the farm to using tools to actually farm themselves, from anything from planting to harvesting. They were not using machines. Then there was a whole machinery and digitization that came around, where there were machines which actually made their work easier in the long run. And today you find some farmers cannot even work without those tools. Yeah. Here we are in the tech scene. We've seen a whole revolution with artificial intelligence, and people really afraid that some of the tasks that they would ideally consider jobs then now being taken away. So I think what AI I see is doing is it's basically artificial intelligence, and anything just by definition, artificial means unreal, and it's just trained by data, and it's here automating large amounts of very mundane jobs, really. For example, I would be here trying to figure out how to write a code to create this page, for instance. Now I don't have to do that. I can easily get help and make my work faster. So one thing that I implore anyone who is interested in figuring out how to survive in AI era is, first, learn generative artificial intelligence. Just understand the background of how generative artificial intelligence works, and find out how you can use it to make your work easier, but also while upskilling, like Lanre said, on how do you upskill and stay ahead? Because when the mundane jobs are taken away, for example, data entry, can I get into data analysis, and what something extra are you bringing to make sure that you fight for your position, really? So use it as a tool, keep upskilling, and exploit and find out how it can work for you. But I personally don't see need to fear. It's just an opportunity like any other. I saw Netflix advertising the other day a position of AI specialist, and was paying, I don't know, more than $500,000 per year. And I was like, wow, there's someone who saw AI and they were like, let me find something else. And then there's someone else who's being hired as an AI specialist, being paid all this money. So it definitely brings an opportunity and a challenge. You have to figure out how to navigate.
Interesting. I totally agree with you ladies on that. I think at the end of the day, AI is forcing all of us to keep learning. You can't, gone are the days where you could say, I studied this in school and I'm just going to focus on that. This is my job for the rest of my life. Things are evolving, the world is evolving, and you need to keep on evolving as well. Vicentia, I see your hand. Go on.
Yeah, look, I passed the ball to Larry, and I stayed out. So I just want to just make some final comments and apologies. I have to step out after I speak. So it's been a very interesting discussion, and I've learned from Faith and Larry and yourself and everybody here who's been listening and has contributed. So just as they have said, AI creates an opportunity, and then we seeing the opportunity in it is better than thinking that you should be afraid and doing nothing. So aside maybe AI taking mundane jobs, look at it not me versus AI, but me versus another person who is using AI, right? So now who will be losing their jobs is those who are not being able to evolve with AI, right? Because AI will still need some human intelligence. Look at now, we have a whole job description as prompt engineer. So knowing what kind of prompt to give the AI is a job on its own, right? So, I mean, it's all about evolving with AI. apart from me versus AI, it's me versus another colleague who uses AI. So it points to everything they've said, that upskill, look for the opportunities in that, and also learn how to use this to become more efficient at your job. And that will put you at a higher pedestal than others who do not use it. And also, as you learn how it's applied and everything, you also upskill to ensure that you stay relevant. Yes, so that's all I just wanted to add to what everybody has shared. Thank you very much. I'm just stepping out now. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. I really appreciate that you took time to join this. Bye. Yeah, just to wrap up on this AI conversation, just looking at Africa, because I believe most of us here are in Africa, there are really a lot of problems that we can solve that AI can't even solve, because you need systems in place. There are a lot of things that we don't have. So I don't think if you're in Africa, you should even be scared about that, but rather you should be thinking about how maybe we can, speed up that gap, like speed up and close that gap using the AI. But there are a lot of opportunities in Africa we can explore even without AI at all. All right. I think we are wrapping up. There's a question from the audience. Akos, please, you can ask your question or add your contribution.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Can you please? Yes, we can hear you. Just speak up a little bit.
Okay. Oh, actually, I have interest in knowing more about tech, but my problem now is whenever I learn something, I know the thing all right, but for me to go back and revise about that thing, like it makes me some way. So if probably there can be a way out, like a thing that will form up like assignment to be given on this particular thing that can motivate some of us more to do more, I think it will be better. So that's my problem.
I understand your problem, because it's like, programming, you have to constantly do it for you to be good at it. Like there's no any other way unless you are actually practicing on a day-to-day basis. So audience, I know, Faith, you are a senior software engineer. I think you are the best person to answer this question. How did you overcome those days you felt like, you have learned something? How do you keep the momentum?
Okay, so learning is an everyday thing that you have to embrace as long as you're in tech. And if you're learning how to code, for instance, it has a lot to do with that discipline of, I set out to create this website, for example, and day in, day out, you have to make sure that maybe you build on it. And I hope you understand that there is no day that you ever realize that you know everything. It's the practice, the gradual practice, that will teach you how to navigate and how to learn some things. You do them thrice before you get them. You don't need to cram, this is how you do it. Software development, for example, is about figuring things out. You're paid to figure things out. You're paid to solve problems. And the how you solve problem is learned on the job. So please give yourself grace for as long as you are learning. Look for something, even if it's simple. Watch a tutorial, then follow through with it. Find another one, do it. The more you do it, the better you become. Then you realize that maybe today I don't need a tutorial, I need to challenge myself. Another thing is, while you're learning, look for people or support system. For example, sometimes when you're coding, sometimes you just face a bug and it's taking the entire day, or it's taking more than a day for you to figure it out. So if you have a support system, like a friend or someone, or like a mentor who is also on the same journey with you, or who is ahead of you, so that they can unblock you. It's a blocker. They need to unblock you for you to keep moving and keep learning. So, and it'll also help you to stay ahead, and also just stay encouraged, because more days than one, you feel like, yeah, you don't know anything now, you want to give up. So you need support system, you need to keep learning, focus on tutorials, and keep doing it. whenever I feel like at every point after some time, you should be able to find out a real job environment or an internship that can help you apply what you've been learning on a real problem or a real project, just so that it can validate you from that point of, now I've learned this, at least someone is using, even if it's the shop next door, I want to create a website for you. That will give you confidence to even go out there and keep learning and also look for opportunities in the space. But I wish you all the best.
Awesome. That's solid advice. Just to add to that, I think one of also the problems I faced, when I was in school was I was exploring different things at the same time. And it didn't allow me to, I started feeling like I'm not being good in all of them, because I'm like, I try this, okay, I leave it. Let me try this without giving myself enough time to learn to explore that space. So as you're also learning, try and make sure that whatever you choose, you spend enough time learning on that. And really, if you don't know, if you feel like you're stuck, look for help from other people, seek help. Tech is really about discovery. Even in the work industry, speaking as a project manager, we have daily stand-up and there's space for blockers where senior developers that have been coding for 10 years, they'll tell you, I cannot fix this bug. I've been trying this for the past 2 days. So people understand that it's a learning process. So you have to give yourself so much grace as you go through this journey as a tech person. Okay, I see Rabia too. You have your hand up. Please go
Hello,
ahead.
good evening. Thank you for the
Evening.
opportunity. I am a psychology graduate, but I'm passionate about it. So for the past 1 month, I've been going through the various graduate programs in the universities, and anytime I come across a program, my biggest worry is I really don't have much of what they are looking for. Some programs are looking for programming skills, but then I don't have. Others want a good knowledge in coding, information systems, which I do not have. To me, it looks like my journey to tech won't be possible because I sincerely don't have what it takes to join the crew. So I would like to seek your advice on that and how I can move forward on my journey.
Okay, Lanre, I think this is your question. You guys are the HR. Sometimes I see, they want an information analyst, the software developer, a data analyst. I'm like, you guys give us a break.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like even a lot of HRs or companies, they're not even sure what they want. So that's why they just jump, like they put a lot of things together. I mean, my advice about that, just saying before I come to the question is, just apply for jobs. A lot of people don't even know what they're looking for. So I'm just saying. But coming to like your question, Rabia, too, so are you, I'm trying to clarify, asking this question as someone who's looking for the opportunity to learn or someone who is trying to get a job?
Okay. Please, I'm looking for the opportunity to learn.
Okay, so I think in this case is maybe access to information, because I mean there are a lot of places to learn programming. You're interested in programming, right? Software development.
Because I had my degree in psychology, I don't have any knowledge in programming or any of the tech solution. But then I want to pursue a further career in tech, like apply for a graduate school program which aligns with tech.
Okay, so I mean, I think maybe the issue that I see here is just an information program, because there's a lot of boot camps and communities and courses that don't require you to have anything, like don't require you to have previous IT knowledge and all of that. So what I would do is, I don't know if anyone else have that has resources like that, but I'm going to create like maybe 10 opportunities for learning, software development and maybe other skills, and I'll share it with Prim, and she might share it with you. So maybe you can put your email address in the chat, and we will just send you this like repository of resources that you can use to apply. I think Faith wants to say something to that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Lanre, you can also make it a public one, then I can also help edit. I think I have a couple of resources. I initially worked at a tech bootcamp school that was teaching people how to transition to tech. So what I wanted to say to you is that since you have a background in psychology, tech is very diverse. Maybe you don't even need to code. Look within you. What are some of your interests and some transferable skills that you can use to transition into tech? For example, you can learn how to see, Lanre's already said that for her, she has a background in chemical engineering, and here she is doing tech recruitment. And it's based off of she's good at communication, she's good at outsourcing. So you look for what are your superpowers, what are your strengths as a person, and also from your background as psychology. I believe that psychology is about being a psychologist is about being a problem solver, being able to understand human behavior, and how research also comes in handy. Yeah, you can work in tech as a tech writer. Maybe people just want write-ups about tech. That one, you can do research and write about it. If you're interested in data analysis, you can also do something like of that sort. Design, if you have a visual eye or you have a creative eye, then you can also explore that. So first, what you need to do is just look at some of the opportunities in tech, some of maybe career paths in tech. Find out what does this one require, what does this one require, and is it something I can explore? There are a lot of free courses. So besides getting into a professional tech school, you can start first by teaching yourself. YouTube will give you a lot of information, but maybe for a start, find out what are your strengths and what interests you can pursue. Then from there, you can teach yourself later on and pay for courses later. But for now, you can even start with free courses. Udacity, Udemy, Coursera, there are a lot of resources. So start from there. Then moving on, you can also now, once you have a bit of understanding, you can now use that knowledge to find quote unquote an internship or a boot camp. That will help a lot.
All right, thank you.
Right, thank you so much. I think we have gone past our time. Just want to say that I've copied all the emails that you dropped. So when Lanre and Faith combined the resources they want to share with you, I will forward it to you. I have your email addresses. So special thanks to our panel. Thank you, Lanre. Thank you, Faith and Vicentia, even though she's not around. Thank you so much for making time for this. And I really appreciate it. I've learned a lot today. And I really hope a lot of us, we have also learned something new. And together, the tech space is open for everyone, like we said. It's really all about your curiosity and you willing to learn. And whichever experience you have gained, regardless of the industry, is still applicable in the tech industry. You just need to know how to package, how to tell your story, and you'll be fine. Special thanks to also the audience. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate that. And this has been a successful event. I think people who want to network, they have shared there are more emails that are coming. Okay, they have shared their Gmails for the resources. And I think Faith and Lara, you can drop your LinkedIn, what's it called? URL, so that people can maybe just follow you and just keep in touch with you. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. This is the end of this meeting. Bye-bye.
spit the drama vibe.
Kutoka Manzabe, picha twazi twanga kisera, posti insta wanga kwa kera, baada ya chali kimoko. Cause I just wanna let them know